Two young tourists came to paradise and never left. What happened on Koh Tao shocked the world and exposed the dark secrets hidden behind Thailand's smiles. This is not just a murder case, it's a mystery that changed everything. A garden hoe stained with blood and hair. This was not a farmer's tool, but the coldest, most brutal evidence at the scene of a horrific murder on the island, once dubbed Thailand's paradise. This intriguing detail, a crude implement, yet a silent witness to a crime, opens up the true crime story we are about to explore. A real-life criminal case where the truth and justice appear to have been drowned in the tropical sea, distorted by power and systemic injustice. Koh Tao Island, or Turtle Island, is a magnet for young Westerners seeking adventure, diving, and all-night parties. The island is famous not only for its beautiful coral reefs, but also as a destination for those seeking absolute freedom. This is a place where all pressure seems to vanish under the moonlight and free-spirited dancing on the sand. Among them was Hannah Witheridge, 23, from Norfolk, England, a promising speech and language therapy graduate. With a radiant smile and a bright future, she came to Thailand with friends to enjoy a holiday that should have been the beautiful final chapter of her youth. At the same time, David Miller, 24, a civil engineer from Jersey, was also there celebrating his university graduation. Miller was described by friends as brave, sincere, and humorous, a young man on the path to starting his career after graduation. Two strangers, meeting on a beach of white sand and cocktails, were fatefully linked on a tragic night. They were captured on security camera, leaving a bar together around 1 a.m. on September 15. In the early morning of September 15, 2014, that peaceful image shattered. The bodies of Hannah and David were found close to each other on Surrey Beach. Both had been brutally beaten to the point of being unrecognizable. David Miller had been struck hard on the head and died by drowning. Hannah Witheridge was hit on the head and had been raped. Lives were cruelly snatched away, not just with physical wounds, but with an irreparable tear in the trust and safety of any tourists. This criminal case was more than a personal tragedy. It became a horrific stain on the image of the Land of Smiles, exposing deep cracks in Thailand's justice and investigation systems. The murder occurred at an extremely sensitive time, as the Thai military government was trying to encourage tourism. The incident was seen as a source of serious damage, an unwelcome disturbance. From a shocking true crime incident, the Koh Tao case turned into an unsolved mystery for international public opinion. This is the story of Hannah Witheridge and David Miller, and the naked truth behind the name Death Island. After the bodies were found, initial forensic evidence identified several crucial clues. Sperm from two different men was found on Hannah's body, indicating that two attackers were involved in the rape and murder. Additionally, a blonde hair was found clutched in Hannah's hand, along with a bite mark on her right nipple. The bloodstained garden hoe, found nearby, was quickly identified as the murder weapon. However, the initial investigation by the Thai police sparked global outrage. It was criticized not only for its lack of professionalism, but also for its unacceptable sloppiness. The crime scene was immediately not properly sealed off. This was not just a serious procedural error, but an irreversible destruction of evidence. Tourists and local residents were allowed to walk freely on the beach, contaminating traces and exhibits. Some reports even indicated that police officers themselves were accused of moving objects, handling items without gloves, and virtually erasing all possibility of accurate tracking. This carelessness, or deliberate cover-up, raised major questions about the entire subsequent process. Investigators lost precious hours, even crucial days, to secure a serious criminal case. Instead of following objective forensic leads, Thai police were accused of bungling the investigation from the start. This paved the way for accusations of incompetence, or worse, interference from dark forces. In the early days, police interrogated hundreds of people, including the victims' friends, hotel staff, and especially migrant workers. The focus on migrant workers, despite the lack of concrete evidence, foreshadowed the controversial investigative direction that followed. This incident deepened international concern about the Thai police's capacity and true motivations. Political and international pressure on Thailand was immense. With the tourism industry threatened, the need to quickly find a perpetrator was paramount. Thai police had to act fast to find a scapegoat to appease public opinion. And so, instead of continuing to search for objective evidence, police quickly shifted their focus to the most vulnerable group on the island: Myanmar migrant workers. On October 2, 2014, two young migrant workers, Zav Lin and Y Phio, both 22, were arrested. Police claimed they had confessed, even staging a crime scene reenactment on the beach in front of the media. This public act was seen as an effort to affirm that the case was solved and reassured tourists. Specifically, police presented a simple story that the two men, after drinking and smoking, became aroused upon seeing the two British tourists embracing on the beach, leading to rape and murder. However, this story quickly crumbled. Within days, both retracted their confessions, asserting they had been brutally tortured by Thai police to force a guilty plea. According to the defendants' detailed testimonies, they were stripped, beaten, kicked, threatened with electric shocks, humiliated by being photographed and videoed, and left in a cold room with hoods over their heads. Y Phio recounted that police threatened to throw his body into the sea for the fish. Amnesty International and the Thai National Human Rights Commission later concluded that these torture allegations were credible. This incident exposed a long and worrying dark stain regarding the Thai police's use of torture and other forms of abuse to extract confessions for political purposes. The core of the 18 days trial was the forensic evidence, specifically the DNA. Police claimed to have found Zavlin and Y Phio DNA samples on the victims' bodies. However, the defense questioned the integrity of the evidence, pointing out unacceptable contradictions. Missing evidence. Witheridge's clothing was not tested for DNA. This was a major failure because clothing is an easy place to find uncontaminated DNA evidence. Expired samples. Crucial DNA samples had expired and could not be independently retested by defense-requested experts. Refusal to provide records. When the court requested the police to provide the storage records for the samples' chain of custody of evidence, they refused, citing that the documents were classified. This refusal was a key point, casting serious doubt on the trial's lack of transparency. Third, DNA. Initial DNA reports indicated that up to 3 men were involved in the case, 2 semen samples and a third DNA from a hair sample, but the police only focused on the 2 Myanmar men. Despite the serious flaws in the investigation, the allegations of coerced confessions, and the suspicion over the integrity of the evidence, the Koh Samui Provincial Court still found Zavlin and Y Phio guilty of 5 charges, including premeditated murder and rape. They were sentenced them to death in December 2015. The verdict was heavily criticized by human rights groups and international public opinion, seeing it as a classic example of corruption and a willingness to sacrifice immigrants to protect a political image. This criminal case became a symbol of injustice within the Thai justice system. This criminal case tore away the veil, covering the truth about Koh Tao. Before 2014, the island already had the unofficial nickname Death Island, due to a series of mysterious and violent deaths of foreign tourists. Previous cases, including people found hanged and others who died in mysterious circumstances, were all officially closed quickly, often as accidents or suicides. The naked truth is this: tourist safety on popular resort islands like Koh Tao is often threatened by local organized crime groups or island mafia. These groups are believed to control illegal business activities, from hotels, bars, boat rentals, to drug trafficking. They operate outside the law, using violence and intimidation to maintain power. And most importantly, they have deep connections with local officials and even the police. Specifically, the interference of powerful local gangs, referred to as island lords, is a common theme in conspiracy theories surrounding this case. Many believe the real perpetrators were the children or members of a powerful family on the island, and the authorities covered it up to protect them. The haste in convicting the two migrant workers and the lack of transparency in handling the forensic evidence strongly reinforced this hypothesis. The Koh Tao incident forced the Thai government to confront a difficult reality, despite their efforts to encourage tourism. The attempt to minimize the impact on the nation's tourism image led to a rushed, non-transparent, and contradictory investigation. Tourism saw a slight decline after the case, but the island quickly recovered. However, the stain of insecurity and the existence of organized crime groups remain. It turned Koh Tao into a warning for international travelers. The Koh Tao case exposed the systemic discrimination and vulnerability of migrant workers in Thailand. Zavlin and Waifao, like thousands of other workers from Myanmar, came to Thailand seeking employment. They were often illegally present and without solid legal protection. They worked in industries Thais did not want, were low-paid, and lived in poor conditions. In the context of international pressure, when the police needed a culprit to quickly close this criminal case, these migrant workers became the perfect target. They lacked a political voice, did not have the support of influential families, and were seen as scapegoats to quell international fury. The allegation of torture to extract a confession proved that, in the eyes of the authorities, the lives and dignity of these individuals were less valuable than the country's image. Human rights organizations pointed out that the Thai police's use of such brutal forced confession methods was a serious human rights violation. It was not an isolated incident, but part of a long-standing practice within their investigation system. Their prolonged legal struggle, supported by NGOs and pro bono lawyers, was not only about proving innocence, but also a fight for basic human rights. Support from the Myanmar community and international organizations created enough pressure to change the case's trajectory, forcing the government to reconsider. Fortunately, the legal fight did not stop. After several extended appeals and intervention by international activists, in 2020, on the occasion of the Thai king's birthday, The death sentences of the two Myanmar men were commuted to life imprisonment. This was a rare move and was welcomed by the international community. While not a declaration of innocence, this change was a tacit admission of the major flaws in the proceedings, of the undeniable torture allegations, and of the deficiencies in the forensic evidence. This outcome brought some solace to their families, but did not change the fact that true justice for Hannah and David remains an unsolved mystery. The decision to commute the sentence, a political compromise, helped Thailand avoid a stronger wave of criticism regarding the death penalty. But it left the answer to this criminal case open. The Koh Tao case, with all its anomalies, became the source of countless conspiracy theories and speculation about the real murderers. The true crime community has constantly debated the hypotheses, especially those related to the island mafia and high-level cover-ups. A popular theory suggests the real perpetrators were the children of a powerful family on the island, and the authorities covered it up to protect them. This theory is based on the haste in convicting the two migrant workers and the lack of transparency in handling the forensic evidence. The battle over forensic evidence was the focal point of international dissatisfaction and the source of many of the strongest counter-theories. Third, DNA. Initial DNA reports indicated that DNA from two different men was found on Hannah's body, which did not entirely match the police story. Furthermore, rumors and independent investigations suggested that there might have been a third, unreleased DNA evidence belonging to an individual linked to the island's powerful families. Bite mark. The analysis of the bite mark on Hannah's nipple was also a point of contention. Independent forensic experts argued that the bite mark did not match Zavlin or Wi-Fi, but this detail was rejected by the court. Chain of custody. The biggest issue was the broken chain of custody for the evidence. Defense experts testified that the samples were improperly stored and were likely contaminated or altered. Requests for independent retesting of crucial samples were denied on the grounds that they had decomposed or expired. All these contradictions have turned the case from a seemingly clear criminal case into an unsolved mystery for most of the world. The failure to ensure the integrity of the forensic evidence meant that the death sentence, even when commuted to life imprisonment, was still seen as an act of injustice. The story has been dissected in many true crime documentaries, each retelling serving as an affirmation that the truth has not been fully exposed. For the families of Hannah Witheridge and David Miller, the loss is immeasurable. They have not only had to deal with the pain of losing loved ones, but also endure a troubled, contradictory, and public legal process. The Miller family expressed their belief that the Thai police conducted a thorough investigation. But at the same time, they had to confront the reality that the case was poorly handled from the very beginning. Their pain is prolonged by the lack of clarity about the true culprits. The case sent shockwaves globally, seriously affecting Thailand's image and standing. Thai police were heavily criticized by the British and international press for bungling the investigation. This event not only impacted tourist safety, but also raised questions about the ethics and integrity of an entire nation. It has become the subject of many true crime documentaries, each mention rekindling the pain and suspicion. The contradiction between the facade of the land of smiles and the exposed dark side caused a severe shock to both residents and visitors, drawing global media attention. More than a decade has passed since that horrifying night, Although the 2 Myanmar men were pardoned, the case has not truly ended. The unsolved mystery of the real perpetrators still hangs in the air, gnawing at the belief in justice. This story is a warning to anyone craving adventure, that even the most beautiful places can harbor deadly dangers, and the truth can be bought by power. The Koh Tao Murders case of 2014 is one of the most controversial true crime cases of the 21st century. It not only took the lives of Hannah Witheridge and David Miller, but also fractured the belief in a justice system dominated by self-interest and discrimination. Though Zavlin and Wi-Fi escaped the death penalty, the questions of justice and truth remain. Who really did this? We would like to extend our deepest condolences to the families and friends of Hannah and David. We hope that, even if the truth remains vague, they will find peace. The tragic passing of the two has become a painful symbol of what can happen when power outweighs righteousness. The biggest lesson from Koh Tao is the importance of international scrutiny and the constant fight for human rights. This is a call to action for us, who care about true crime, never to let cases like this be forgotten or distorted for political or financial motives. We must always demand transparency, integrity in all investigations, and justice for all, regardless of status or origin. The truth cannot be bought. Take a moment to reflect on this unsolved mystery. Will we ever know the complete truth behind the gates of Koh Tao's paradise? If you are interested in complex criminal cases and the search for justice, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming true crime documentaries. Thank you for watching. See you next time.